going. So first, fundamental concept of API backend for front-end projects. What they are, as I said before, they are a set of software used to interface the backend, like SDM and GV Manager, to the front end, that in our case is the Smiley 80 Web UI. So the Smiley 80 backend for front end is currently composed of two repositories that are two set of projects, so two solutions that are distinct. The first one, BFF platform, that contains all the APIs that are called in static pages, in the meaning that pages that cannot be changed in the development of projects. So the C project programmers should not modify these APIs and those pages. Instead, the BFF project contains the APIs that are customizable. So here you can change some APIs to change some pages, for example, adding columns, adding actions, or adding also new pages, completely new pages, maybe for new tables. So this code is provided with Smiley 80 releases. And I have sent before a zip file, and then we'll see later. So I hope most of you are able to open and compile this project. So the communication typically works with the views that are used to read data, and storage procedures that are used to execute actions against the database. In some other cases, the actions could also do some operation that don't act on the database, for example, doing action through another web service, calling another API, and so on. At DB level in the SDM, but also in the LGV Manager and HDSM, the schemas that are used for the views of the fixed APIs is BFF core. So these views in this schema should not be changed, and also the procedures. In the BFF schema, instead you will find the customizable views. So for customizable pages, and you can also modify and add. So at this point, I will move to the first guided exercise. In this way, we start to see how things actually work without losing too much time on theory that we will revise a bit later, and you can also keep the slide as a reference if you don't have already some questions.
I have, sorry, only one question. So for what I see in the other slide, seems that SDMDB is mandatory to use the web UI, or am I wrong?
Yes, the SDM is included in the Smiley 80 release, and yes, at the moment Smiley 80 only works with SDM.
Okay, thanks.
Welcome. So, as this is the slide of the exercise, I would suggest you to open Visual Studio 2022 for who has it, and try to compile. Is somebody having problems also with Visual Studio 2022? Okay, so I will assume that.
Sorry, Francesco. Yeah.
Yes.
I have a request for username and password.
Opening.
Yeah,
Visual
the solution.
Studio.
Yes. No, the solution.
Yeah,
called.
I think it could be related to the Git repository.
Okay, but it's enough to insert my user and password, domain user and password. I don't know.
I think it should be okay, but I don't know if you want to put a screenshot. I can tell you what it is.
Okay. I will send you an image in the chat.
What is the startup project, the master data?
Sorry?
The startup project should be the master data?
Yes, it's the master data, yes. Yes, Christian, you can use the credential of E80.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, now we will see.
Francesco, one question.
Yes.
For the NuGet package.
Okay. Are you having problems?
Because I cannot find the Smile 80 as Splat Core common, and I ask if the sources is the NuGet E80 2022.
So you can do in this way. I sent a link in the chat at this point because I tried this in a server that is not without logging in. So the NuGet package was actually retrieved, but for some reason probably your computer is not being found. So please download the file. Okay, I see that Andrea Bianchi wrote in the chat that it's possible to use .NET Core 6 with Visual Studio 2019 using an option. You can see it in the chat. Anyway, for the building, you need to reference the packages. Okay, they are in the release, but I also sent them in the chat on a file transfer link. So you can unzip that folder and follow this guide reference. Actually, it is simple because you just have to unzip the content. And then in Visual Studio, you go on you right click on the solution and you choose the tools. You go in the Manage NuGet Package Manager, NuGet Package Manager, Package Manager Settings, Package Sources, and you set up like this. Please tell me when some of you are able to build the solution. And if some have further problems, let me know.
Probably I missed something, Francesco, but as soon as I click on add new package sources, okay, you have.
Sorry, you have to do like this. You have to put the path where you have
okay,
extracted the libraries, and obviously check this if it's not checked.
Moment, please.
After that, right click on the solution and restore NuGet packages.
But what is I have 3 folder, shared settings, Smile BFF database, and master data.
Check. So you downloaded the file lips NuGet. Should contain all these files.
Ips. Che cazzo sta? Ma nel file transfer di prima dovrebbe già esserci sta roba o...
No, quello ve l'ho messo in
Ah.
chat.
Ah, ok.
The one in the chat. The file transfer I put in the chat at
Ok.
70 minutes.
Ora ho capito.
Ok. Some have been able to compile and build the solution. Yeah, I see Matteo has a problem compiling. I honestly don't know what it could be. Some other have the same problem.
I have a different one. I paste the error in the chat.
It seems it is trying to use a
I
link.
have the same problem of Federico.
Maybe are you all at home? You needed a VPN connected for some reason.
I have the VPN connected.
Me too.
Instead,
moment. Can you try to disable the package sources? I don't know if you have some that are pointing to DevOps.electric 80 like this.
I'm checking if I have. Yeah, now it's compiling, so that was the issue.
Okay, good to know. Okay, so I'm not sure why you had that link. So please, everybody, try to go in tools, NuGet package manager settings, package sources, and disable the online ones and keep only the training that you have extracted. So somebody has more question? If I hope some of you have, yeah, tell me, Andrea.
I have this problem now. I don't know if it's directly by using 2019 instead of 2022. It is not supporting maybe NetCore 6 project.
Probably. Well, that is actually something that changed in the project structure
Of NetCore 6.
Yes. What's the point is that the program file, the program.cs is now built in this way, so you see that it's not having a namespace. Would try to not super easy actually, because you should have to create a namespace, explicit namespace here, but it's a bit tricky to work, because then you need also to create a startup method. You should enclose everything in the namespace and then create a startup, but it's not so immediate to do.
Okay.
So at this point I move on, and since the exercise is guided, I guess with Visual Studio 2022 you should have no problems. So the first thing to do is to set up the connection string and the general settings. So what's the point here? It's that we have to connect to a specific DB server. In this case, the server specific of the test, since we have already created the tables, views, and procedures on that one. So to do this, you can simply go in the shared settings folder, and you see that I already actually have set up the correct connection string in the development. So why in the development file? Because this is a override file that is used while debugging automatically. So it integrates the connection string JSON with the information that is here. The same for the general settings. You see that there are some markers here, some strings that will be replaced, some placeholders. In the development, there are the correct ones that connect to the correct server. So as you see, for the DB, we have the 111 IP for the development. For the general settings, we are generally connecting to 115 that is the API server, except for Rabbit that is on the core server. So after setting these that are already okay, I show you that we already prepared the table, view, and procedure on this server. You also have the source code of the scripts used, if for reference you want to take a look. So it is actually this. It is the SQL file that I sent to you in the email before the start, and the content we show you briefly. is this. So we basically created an example table that has a foreign key to the load date table. We created a view that reads from this, also giving us the name of the load date with a join. And also we have created one procedure that does the insert or update, depending if ID has a value or not. So for null value, it does an insert. For if there is a value, it tries to do an update. And yeah, this also this procedure to delete a set of rows of this table, load date receiving. So now we go to back to the exercise, and I show you what we are going to do. So we are creating a new controller, because typically when there is a new table and a new page that will be done, a new controller is created. So this controller will have some methods inside, basically a get to have the list, some post, one for insert a new row, one for update one row, one to delete, and one to delete multiple rows at a time. That can be used from all of these can be used from the web UI. We also have the combo boxes that are useful to create to have them available for filters that can be set up by the user. For example, if a user wants to see only the receiving with a specific name. So now we will see how the structure should be. So the web UI of Smile80 will reach out to the new controller that we are going to write. So the part in the brace is the part that we will develop in the exercise, considering that we already added the views and the procedure on the database, the table. So web UI reads and writes to the controller, getting data or doing actions. The controller uses a service that we are going to create as well. And both using these models, sharing the data with these models that are also sent to the web UI for user for the web UI, will then communicate with the database. This is actually a project that already exists in the solution, my API-BFF database, and that's the model of the SDM database. So the step one is probably at the moment the most complicated, because it requires to add to the database model the view that we are adding. So I will need to copy and paste this command. I will paste it in the chat also for you. What do we have to do? This is actually nothing created by us. It's a standard procedure with this command, scaffold DB context, that is integrated in Visual Studio. So the slides say, set a startup project with Smile80-BFF database. Open the package manager console. If you don't see it, it should be here. It's one of the available windows in Visual Studio. I still don't remember exactly where. If somebody has a problem finding it, we can search it better. It should be open here. And then we should copy and paste the command. So as you see, I'm getting an error because I have also to set the project in this way. So now, for some reason, it's not reaching the package. I have inserted this in the slide as well. So we should try to run this command before.
Can you paste the command in the chat, please?
Yes, I put in the chat also this one. Okay, so we are having actually a different problem here. I need to change the package. So the point is that we need to install this package in this way from the research. So you should go in the package manager, manage NuGet packages of the API-BFF database project. Go in browser, select the package source nuget.org and paste this entity framework core.tools and search for it, and then install a compatible version that is 609.
Comment, please.
I copied the name in the chat.
It's 609, you
So-
said.
Yes,
Which version?
609, please.
Why at the beginning we tried to do with the console and then we switch to the
Because with the console, I wasn't able to get the specific version, actually. Probably there is a command, but
Yeah.
I don't know it exactly.
okay. But why you have a preference for the console?
Because it was very quick to write in
Copy
the
and paste,
guide,
okay.
actually.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
So, okay, it seems to work for me. I will repeat it because actually, I don't know if somebody was able to install that 609 Microsoft Entity Framework Core Tools. So at this point, what should I do? It's necessary to do a backup of the BFF database context.cs file, as it's written in the slides. This one. So basically, I simply rename the file. And no, don't rename also the class. At this point, I can create the scaffolding with the command scaffold -db context, etc. This will connect to the database and download the structure. But if you look at the command, at the end, it's only getting one view, this view. So at this point, it has created my BFF-DB context file. With the load-aid receivings statements. So they are basically two. Is somebody able to do this?
No, because I didn't rename the file and I ran the command before renaming the file, and now I can see the receiving.
Yes, so you can undo because you have this tab Git changes, no? For Git. Are you able to see the Git
yes.
Git tab? You go here, you can undo by right-clicking. So in this way, you also can see how
It
use
changes. How did you open these Git changes tab?
So it should be.
View Git changes.
Where is it? Sorry. It's already open. You can click here on. You should have a pencil icon here on the lower part of the screen, and it should open this.
Ce l'ho, cazzo. Vabbè, metto googolare.
No, and otherwise you can replace the file from the zip again if you want.
Okay.
And you go back. Only, I think you should only replace this one.
If I repeat the procedure right now, is not going to work. I mean, changing the name, run the command one more time.
No, the point is that probably now your original BFF context does not have all the other tables. So
Okay.
it should contain all these things. So a lot of information. So I suggest you to get it from the zip file. You can copy and paste again content. And if you already have the view created, Federico, in the models table.
That's the point. I don't see the new view. In the models. Sorry.
Okay. It's this one. If you already have it, probably, yeah, it's not a problem because the command as a force should overwrite it.
You show please the name of the view loaded receiving.
View loaded receiving, yes. DW loaded receiving.
I haven't.
Me too,
Okay, so when you run the command, did you have an error after this?
Yes, I have a build failed, and
build failed. Did you set up the project as also here as my API-BFF database?
no. Okay.
Okay,
Let me retry. Let me retry to build. Oh, BFF data.
Francesco, in my case, I built correctly, but give me an error during the establishing of the connection with the server. Catena di certificati emessi da un'autorità di certificazione disponibile nell'elenco locale.
Okay, so probably you are unable to connect to this server. If you want, I don't know, you can try to change to run the SQL file that I provided to you before on your local server. For example, the server where you did the exercise some days ago in the SDMDB, if you have restored in your computer. And then you change the connection string. You put like localhost here, correct username and password, correct database name if it is different. And yeah, if you have added the view that is in the script and also the table, it should correctly find it. Don't expect after this operation that all the solution already compiles, because we have not finished. We have to fix the DB context file. So Federico, in the meanwhile, have you been able to?
I'm in the middle of the process.
Okay.
I don't want to stop you for a long time. I'm doing so. If you have rush, so no problem. I can do all myself. If you need to go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, proceed. Yeah. So at this point, you should be able to open the newly generated BFF DB context file. And if you find receiving or loaded receiving, these are the rows that have been added. So we need simply this and this. I copy this and I open the original BFF DB context file. I go at the beginning where we have the tables and paste, or the views, and I paste this. And also we get the other component here. And we will copy this in the on model creating method as where it is at the moment. So go in the original. On model creating.
Sorry for stopping you again, but now I got an error. I'm pasting. I don't know if you guys already discussed this or.
So it seems that it's not possible for you to connect to the SQL server.
I have the same issue.
Or the VPN maybe.
So probably for some reason.
Okay, so
let me check if it's possible to change the. Connection string.
So probably before the command there's nothing for this issue.
You could add this. I paste in the chat. In the connection string.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it should be written with underscore actually.
I guess in the development JSON. Like this.
Yes, it should be like that. Maybe with a semicolon at the end. Yeah.
Only for the Smile SDM or everyone?
No, I mean in the connection string here. Oh, yeah. Also, okay. Also in this developments, yeah, probably. So you put it everywhere. It's better because we actually need also the security. But what I meant is it was in the package manager console to add that in the connection string. So it's in the first part. Yeah. So okay, I go on and I try to show you what changes I did in this file. At this point, I can delete the newly created BFF context, since I pasted all the new 2 lines that I needed in the old one, and I rename it back to its original name. And I can set again the startup project as master data. I try to build the solution. And it built. So the difference we are having at the moment is that we have the BFF context with the two new lines. The receiving here, and another difference lower that maps that view to this. Sorry, that maps that class to the database view. Also, we have the new model that is automatically generated and reflects the structure of the database view. Okay, at this point, we should go on and create a read model that is used for the front end. So what we can do is to copy, in this case, basically the model that was automatically generated. So now I show you quickly how to do it, but then I will show you the completed result of the exercise, and we will check it together. So I will copy this the content of this class. And I go in the master data, in the read models, and I create a new class. So according to the exercise, the name should be loaded receiving read model. Now empty. Get the content. We can remove this if we want. Actually, this is instead useful for the filtering to function properly. So when you have a date time, you should have this decorator over the column. And yeah, that's it. At this point, I will switch, and you can also do the same to a branch. So I will commit these changes. I'm switching up quickly because it's a bit late. So I will throw away these changes. We can undo or you can commit. But if you see, you should have here in the Git changes another branch that actually contains all the operations that have been done. So switching to this branch will actually provide you with the solution of the exercise. So we can see simply by this that I have a new controller here in the master data. And this contains all the necessary operation that we did to create a new web page. So now we will revise a little bit the structure. We create a controller that is a loaded receiving controller that uses loaded receiving service and these models. So the service is this one. It's a class that is contained still in this master data BFF, and it is loaded receiving service. It has to implement this interface, so it is automatically loaded as a dependency injection class. So when the controller is loaded, it will be injected also this class in the controller in this way, the constructor, and the service, the global service will have a value and can be used in the methods. So basically, what's going on here? We can, for example, take a look at the get loaded receiving, so the HTTP get method that we have as first. This is the method that will get the list of results to view a new table. So this is a structure that you can use for an example on how to read the results for the web UI and be able to view them in a table of the web UI. You can notice that there are some standard, some classes and parameters, and also the return is using this class. So all of this is defined in the BFF framework of MyAT, and this is necessary to be compliant with the web UI. So when you develop a new API method, you should follow this type of structure as the method input. All these are defined in a NuGet package to be clear. So query sort and query place, and also filters is something that is used by the web UI in a standard way. So what can we do in this way? Moving these parameters in the service that will use them properly. I go back to the service in the get method. So you see that we have as input again these three parameters. Well, it's very short here because automatically with the automapper we are reflecting the content of the view in our model that we created for the front end. So this is the model automatically created in the scaffolding that reflects the database view. This is the one that I created manually just later. What happens is that this call that is a method created by MyAT, it's automatically able to use the filters, the sorting, and the paginator receiver by the web UI to create a query that it will be executed by Entity Framework and automatically return the result of the generic class provided, that in this case is the loaded receiving read model. And also it returns, so the result, the proper result will be in this return element, while the pagination result, query pagination result used by the front end, will be returned in this element. So for example, if in the web UI they are requesting the page 2 of a big table, element 51 to 100, you will have only the 50 elements required according also to the filters, sorting, and paginator. only the required rows will be sent to the front end. So back to the controller. I can show you also that we are exposing this attribute. This is another class that is created by Smiley 80 in the common. And yeah, this allows you to create automatically in a very simple way a method that can be used by the front end to filter the contents of a table. So in this simple way, using the context, the name of the view. So this will work. Simple name of will work also in this way, and the columns that we need to read. Automatically, this will create another method managed by the middleware of Smiley 80 that will return a value and a key and a value for the front end. Typically, key and value should be the same because this is how the web UI works, because it allows to do filters, for example, with auto completion. This is another way to create the combo box. It's a standard. It's in the documentation as well. So, for example, if you don't have a table, or you need to do some logics to expose the data, a table, or you can do some logic, for example, in the name, in the label or name, you want some more information, like building, for example, like here the name and showing also the ID. You can create the combo box in this different way. So at this point, before watching the post methods, so the actions, I show you quickly how we can see this API running. So first step to run properly the API in debug mode. Well, in general, it is enough to select from here, after setting a startup, the API, you have to start up a proper running mode. So IIS Express is a possibility. Smiley 80 BFF master data is another one. These are configured in the properties launch setting. Also, this is a standard thing, nothing created by Smiley 80. It's standard way to develop APIs in Visual Studio. As you see, here we have two profiles, this and this one, and they are the ones that are visible. WSL, now we don't care about it. So it's a way to run it in a virtual machine, actually. So I can start in this way. Now it's building. In the meanwhile, I can show you, yeah, in the slide that we will also have after the lesson, you can also have an example for this launch setting file, but there are in the solution as well. So this is the console that it is starting. And it has also launched this browser window. What is this? Well, simply this is a utility called Swagger that is integrated in our APIs, automatically added by our middleware. And what does this do? It allows you to see all the APIs that are in the project that you started, in this case, my API-BFF master data. So for example, I can look for receiving, and I have the loaded receivings. Why? Because we created a controller that is loaded receivings controller. So the controller word is automatically stripped away. And this is how the methods are shown. So this simple controller is showing all these methods. You can notice that we have the simple get, that is the loaded receiving. That is this, the first one. You see that it doesn't have any further address in the path because it's only HTTP get here without something else. For example, we have here. So the URL finishes with the controller name. If we click on it, we can try this API. So I can execute, and I will get an unauthorized error, actually. Let's take the time to start for the first call. Okay, so error response status is 401. That is unauthorized. Clearly, this is because also the API must use the authentication. Swagger allows us to do this. So how is it done? It is simply necessary to insert the training with password training 23 exclamation point. I don't know how many of you have been able to run the API at this point, but if you have been able to run it, you can try this with the user and password that I inserted in the chat, and clicking authorize, you will be authorized. At this point, if I go back, if I scroll down to the receiving and I try again, okay, I have received the content of this table. There are already two rows that were inserted with some test data. So you see that actually the structure is not simply the model that we have created, that is a loaded receiving read model, but it's a bit more complex, since some things have been added by the Smiley LT middleware. So this wrapping classes, data, results, and the paginator. Paginator in particular shows me that I didn't request for any page in particular. The default size is 5,000. Page count is 1, because we have only 2 elements. So it means that there is one page and there can be no page 2 with this page size, for example. Okay. Check. Okay, at this point we can see for a quick overview also the post actions. Do you have some questions? Probably yes, because there is a lot of things to know about this. Anyway, don't be scared, because these API are pretty much all very similar. So taking one as an example or reading the documentation, you can go through it without any problems. Okay, I can show you the combo box before the post method. So we see that we have actually two combo boxes exposed here. This one and this one here. If I try this one, the last one, it is actually the one exposed with this simple enable combo box attribute. And you see that it returns the name and a bot on the label and value fields. Instead, the other one is this one. Exposes in the label a bit different thing with the name and the ID in a square parentheses, just because it was implemented in this way. Okay, now we can see for example, the add load receiving method that is a post. So instead of HTTP get, it's a HTTP post. So a method that is intended to execute action. This method here have to be created to be compatible with the Smiley 80 web UI with an only class as an input parameter that must be declared in this way. And differently from the get, you see that you don't have a result, but simply you return the task that is, as you should know, the standard way for a C# language to manage the async methods. So it's actually, this is a void class. So what happens? The action, when it's successful, doesn't return anything. Instead, when there is an error, the Smiley 80 middleware returns a structure that is used by the front end, and it can contain an error message. So how this is achieved? Well, it is achieved by the usage of a specific exception that is called Smiley error, that we will see in a while. This exception is then captured by the Smiley 80 middleware of APIs and produces a result. So we can go through the add method, for example. I go in the service and you check the add method. What does it do? It simply calls the procedure that we have provided already present in the database. So this is a standard way to create the parameters, all this part, while the specific part for Smiley 80 is this method that can do practically all the job for you, because given the text of the storage procedure in this way, it will automatically add wrap all the execution on the correct context, so on the correct database. Also using this key. Well, this key is a string that is used to have the possibility to translate the errors in different languages. So, for example, we can create this key and then translate in English. This is in a nicer way. So, error during load aid receiving creation, for example, and in another language, this key can have a different value also. Yes, so when actually there are errors thrown by the storage procedure, these are returned in a specific structure to the front end. Now I will show you how with a small test. So I go back to Swagger. And we can, for example, okay, maybe now we do a successful execution. So we see what happens. I create a new data receiving row. I execute. So what I did is I set the correct an existing loaded name, otherwise I would get an error. Okay, response body 200. Well, actually, you see the middleware returns something to the front end, but it simply returns that everything was okay. So nothing really important. If I select a not existing loaded as an input, I get an error. So I get a 500. I get this debugging message and the key. So you see the key that was actually added here. This number is added by the procedure, and is the sorry, not by the procedure, but by the execute stored procedure, and it is based on the error code internal to the stored procedure. So in this way, we create a unique error based on the result code returned by the stored procedure. In fact, if I check the stored procedure, the error is unknown loaded name. You see that unknown loaded name has a result code that is 4. So now I will show you a bit better how this works. You see that we have also a placeholder that is called P0, and we have also a value that is the wrong loaded name that I chose, not existing, because it was created here. So we have basically used a standard way to manage the errors using the stored procedure and the execute stored procedure method. How is this done? Simply because all the procedures that are called in the database through our backend for front end should be called with this method and should have 2 standard parameters that are these ones. Result code int output parameter, and as well result text XML output parameter. All this is documented and is also in the slides that I will send to you later. So what happens? Result code has to be 0 in case of success only. So if we go at the end, we see that in case of commit, we do set result code 0. And the result text is not used in case of success, so we can set it at null. And yes, it's also correct to return 0 in case of success. So as a return value, that is something different from the result code. And return 1 in case of error. This is actually standard behavior that should be done actually in all the stored procedures. So you see that we are using a different result code for every error. In this way, the translations will work properly, since this K contains the proper result code, and it's possible to translate each error in the way that you want. The debugging message actually is used for to read the error directly from in the web UI, but this will be shown later by my colleague. So I understand that there is a lot of stuff in this thing, but I repeat, if you check in the material that I sent to you, and also in the branch, you can check the history in this way and verify what was created in this commit. So adding modifying the BFF context, adding this auto-generated view in the model, the database, created the controller, created the read model and the write model. That is the model that we have just used to try the update, the creation of a load date receiver. A quick look to the controller again. I show you the deletion. I have created here 2 ways to delete. Again, you see that we are using an input model that is a single class, because this has to be done to be compliant with the front end. And then basically these models are very simple. One gets an ID, and this gets a list of IDs, but long. So what I do here is calling the same method, but in the delete, I do it with a single element in a new list, while here I use this way to extract all the elements in this object that contains a list to a list. And if we go in the service, we see that we have only one delete method, that is this one here. And it calls this other storage procedure that gets a common PK list that is very similar to the common IDs list, but it's a different class. Both of these can be used. So this is the way to call with a structured data input storage procedure. So you have also this example here, because this is not a simple int parameter or a number char, but it's a structured type, and it has to be specified in this way. Okay, I show you very quickly how to, if you don't have questions, how you can debug with Postman. Yes, go on.
Just a curiosity. When we do a get, the filter at which level is done? Directly when query, or the filter is done later?
Yeah. Good question. I explained probably too quickly, actually. I skipped it a bit. It's done on the database. So it's done at the DB level, and actually Entity Framework builds a query that contains the filter in itself. So from the database, only the rows that will be returned to the web UI will be read. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I show you very quickly how it is done, but we go deeply in our library, so it's not necessary. But actually, this will take the filter and use this where for list method. Maybe the code is accessible for me. Yes. Using the filter, and what does it do? Well, it calls this toSQL filter method that transforms the syntax received from the web UI to a SQL syntax. It's pretty complex, but this is standard and doesn't have to be changed. So it supports also all the filters, like also bigger than, and so that it can be used in the web UI, not only the equality, for example. So now I keep the API running. Okay, I have this warning here because I have executed the query without anything from Swagger. It's not what actually happens from the web UI, because it always uses filter and sorting. So now we can take a quick look, as shown in the slide, to how to debug using Postman. We have seen Postman some days ago, so we are a little bit familiar with it. I can show you how to properly debug. So since the API is running on my PC at this address, and maybe, for example, I want to read this from this table, I can take advantage of Swagger, clicking on the API and get the full URL from here. So now, okay, I create a new one completely, so we can go through the full process. Okay, this is the quickest way. I do send, I will be unauthorized for sure. So authorization. How to do? It's similar to what we did some days ago for the SDM and Web API listener, but actually it's not the basic out, but is OAuth 2.0. You have it here in the slide. So I quickly do the changes that are necessary. OAuth 2. Go here and I select password credentials. The URL, okay, is already correct because it has taken from somewhere else. So save some time. You see that we have all these values. So these are pretty much standard, but they are actually visible in the general settings development file. They are, this is the URL for the authentication. This is the type. This is the scope. You have secret. Okay, secret is not actually, probably is not used anymore. And anyway, compiling this way will work for Postman. This is simply a username that is valid. So it could be also EAT administrator or a valid username to log in to the web UI. Also here it's necessary to set this if it's different. Get new access token. Okay, authentication complete. Proceed. Use token. Okay, so get new access token. Proceed. Everything is okay. Click use token. Token added. It means that in this tab from now it will use that this token. So I can do again the send, and as you see, I have the results. The same that I get with the Swagger UI. It's the same. In the same way, it's possible to execute the post, but okay, as we have seen here, we, for example, can do the add. We can do it also in Postman, copying this body, change it to post. We set up the correct post method, and we paste in the body raw XML. No, sorry, raw JSON. The content of the body that we want to test. So let's try again this method. I get internal server error, unknown load date name, GMA. You see again with this code 4. For example, if I do like this with an existing type, but also an existing name, I get load date receiving with name and the placeholder already defined, and the code from the procedure is 02. So it will generate a different error for the dictionary. And yeah, basically this is the usage with Postman. I have a little bit, another little bit example that we can see. Then I move on. So yes, I have the web UI open here. Okay. You will see the web UI later, but I just want to show you how to use the filters like they are used in the web UI. And for example, I set up a filter in this page. I don't know if you are familiar with it, but pressing F12 key on the keyboard in all the modern browsers, you get this inspecting and development page. If you go in the network tab, you can see what goes on. For example, I set a filter here with the palette. I do submit. You see that the filter now reduced the results to 6 instead of 8 as before. And we added this call. If we go in the payload, we see that the front end sent to the back end, to the BFF, this filter, sorry. So it said that it wanted that ID loaded class is equal to 1. This is translated in the query on database as a filter for this column with value 1. And it's not a visible field, but it's the ID of the loaded class taken from this combo box. Also, we see that we have the paginator, so it's requiring a page of maximum size 25 and a sorting field. The default one is this one. If I change, for example, descending, we have another call and we have a direction dash now descending. And this can be, for example, copied and used also to filter and test with Postman. So I already did an example before, but you can, it's similar like this. You can copy and paste in the filters and do some tests. So I execute here. It's unauthorized, obviously, because this was open from an hour or two. Okay, I have 6 results. If I filter with a not existing type of class name is simply a column returned, you see that I have no results. So the filters can be done on all the class, all the columns that exist, and also sorting. Questions? So you have this also in the slide, the exercise. Yeah, so just 2 words about what is possible to do, and it's also documented in the guide. It's a more complex situation than what we did, because now we simply added a controller in an existing API. Maybe in a certain project there is a big thing to develop, and it's considered useful to develop a new API. In that case, what you have to do is to create a new project, not only a new controller in an existing project. This is a choice that is on you. It will be a bit more complicated because you need to do more operation, like configure the program .cs. That is the file that was causing problems to somebody of you before using Visual Studio 2019. So this contains actually all the automatic part filters and middleware of E80 and Smiley 80, and not only, also standard things like, for example, Swagger, that are automatically added to the API that we run. So there is pretty much a lot of stuff. Also the combo box support, the samples, that is some APIs that are used for the web UI. But it's pretty much standard. So if you go in the various projects, the program is very similar. So this is not covered in detail in this lesson, but it's available in the guide. Okay, so the exercise is finished. If you have some questions, I can reply to you. Stop the debugging, maybe. Okay. If no questions, I just show you that in the first slide that I actually have shown only the first page before. You have a complete overview of how the projects are structured. So you will have this at the end of the day. So if you need for reference, you can check it. It explains.
Francesco, excuse me.
Yes.
I have a question. Are supported the functions too?
Sorry, can you repeat?
Are supported functions?
Functions from the BFF, you mean?
Yeah.
So SQL functions. So,
Yes,
so the question is not clear because actually we can read or we can write data. So when we read, we basically read from views. If you want to read from a function, no, it is not supported because it will not be possible to do the filtering, sorting, and paginator. So
Okay.
in general, then it depends what you have to do. You can actually read from a function, but in that case, you will not be able to. You will have to ignore these parameters basically. But no, there is no support to automatically transform the filters as an input for a function because it will not be standard. Is it what you expected? I mean, did I get the question?
To my question. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thanks to you. So I suggest you to have a look to this API. I will just show you a bit because it's a bit late at the moment. So it will reassume what the things that we have seen in the exercise, how to write the gets, what are these parameters, filter, sorting, paginator, how the service should work with the auto mapper, and the combo box, the two ways to have a combo box, so the enable combo attribute. That is this one here, and also on the other way that we have seen with the explicit method. How to write the actions, HTTP post, the fact that the procedure should contain a result code and result text that are automatically managed by the execute story procedure. If they don't exist, this will return an error and it will not work. Okay, here in detail, here you also have a detail of how to manage in the procedure the placeholders for the errors. So here it will explain also that string should be, you have a counter from 1 to 9, from 0 to 9, sorry, and you can have maximum of 10 elements. Yes, and also there is a particular scenario that is throwing explicitly a smile error instead of relying on the execute store procedure. If you develop some actions that don't work on a storage procedure, you should manage the errors in this way. It's not very common, but it could happen. So you know that this is documented here and also in the online. Yeah. And finally, a quick word about the default permission. All the methods of the API should have this default permission. So I actually did it also in the loaded receiving controller. I created this for almost all. How does it work? And this creates an automatic permission for the methods. So maybe you are adding a method or an entire controller in an existing plant where you already have users. In this way, you can automatically associate the permissions of existing roles, so existing users, to this method. So this is actually it's simply an attribute. It has a constructor with the 3 elements that you see here. The first is advanced management role type. The second is management role type, and the third is view role type. So they will create the permission with this name. So advanced controller name management, controller name management, and controller name view. And each of these 3 will be assigned to all the roles that have the type or types that have been passed. So these are bit masks defined as you see on the right, and so they can be how to say put in OR in this way. So in this example, we are only adding a permission called add loaded. Sorry, the name is the name of the controller. So loaded receiving controller management, and this method will associate the permission to these users for this method. It's a bit tricky, but to understand, but it's not as complicated as having to add always the permissions to all the users. It's not mandatory. You can do it manually, but it's very convenient, and in general, you can copy it from existing APIs. Swagger we have seen. The JSON files we will see a bit later, and yes, basically this is the link for the reference guide complete of the SS. Do you have any questions? Maybe I don't know about the role, the default permission management. Otherwise, I should quickly move on to another exercise. Well, the exercise will be introduced by another slide, actually, but I will go on very quickly, and you can reference later by yourself if you need. It is about Internet Information Services. I think you already seen it with Giorgio or Giuseppe on the first day of training. Anyway, I show you quickly how it is structured. So basically, it's how we host all our APIs. It's an application in a Windows server, and it has a user interface and a service, and plus it will start one service for each API, basically. So it is divided in sites and application pools. You see the sites here and the application pools on the right. An application pool is actually a process that is able to run a site or more sites, while a site is actually a proper website, or like in our case, an API, a BFF API. So we deploy in this way with a one-on-one correspondence. And you see, we only have the APIs. The web UI of Smile8 is not hosted here, but is hosted on a Linux virtual machine, actually a Linux container. So here you see how you can stop and restart an API in case maybe you have to update, or in case there are problems to be investigated. It only tells you, it also tells you how to stop it if there are problems. It doesn't completely stop from the task manager. And it shows you also that for every site or API, there is a subfolder in this path. See in the pub www.root/smile8. All the folders are one for each website, except the JSON and shared settings. So the shared settings is actually the same as you have in the solution. You see that here we have many more APIs because there are also the APIs of the platform. So you remember we are working on the BFF project, but it exists also a BFF platform solution that is not to be edited in the project developments. So these are the other APIs are standard. This JSON folder contains a file. If one of you has been able to run the API, you may have noticed in the Git changes that 2 files have been created when starting the API. They are actually the same file, but copied in the JSON folder with a specific name, the name of the API. This contains the description of all the methods and classes, model classes that are exposed by all the API. So in case of master data, all what is exposed by this project. In fact, if I go on a real server, we see that in the JSON folder, there is a file for every API in this JSON folder. What are these used about? We will see quickly in a few minutes. I have just to show you this last slide before going to the last exercise of the first part. I will try to be very quick. So we install 2 servers with the IIS typically in the real environments for redundancy. So there are 2 Windows servers with the IIS, and both are identical, and they have to be kept up to date both. The Web UI calls the load balancer, that is another Linux component. The load balancer tries to use one of the 2 servers, also verifying that it's available. If one is not running, only an API is stopped for that API, it will call on the available one. That's it. Have any questions? Otherwise, I will show you how to apply the results of what we have done to the Web UI. This should be, I think we will close this in less than 15 minutes or 10 minutes. So try to stay a bit concentrated for some minutes. Then we will have the break. What's the point of this? We have created a new API, not actually a full API, just a new controller, but also in the case we only added, for example, a method, I don't know, a post action to an existing controller, we will need to make this as known to the Web UI. So the Web UI in some way has to know that this new method or this new controller with its method exists. How is this performed? It is performed using these JSON files. So the exercise will starts actually compiling the updated API from Visual Studio. So I can actually do it, publishing actually the API. So I do publish from master data. This is very similar to compile, but it does some more operations. As indicated in the slides, you should select folder to deploy locally. The default path will be OK. It's a subpath of the API. you can do finish, and it creates the publish profile locally on your computer. It will go in this folder that it does not exist at the moment. The standard settings are okay for our users, so I go with publish. In this, the only important I would say that is checking that configuration is release and not debug. So despite I have a debug here, the publish, I click publish, does compile with the release. So in the meanwhile that it's compiling, show you simply the slide for the exercise that you can use as your reference. And it says us that we can go in Visual Studio and finish the compile and open the folder. Taking a lot of time. Okay, almost there. Okay. Now the folder should exist. Here it is, with all the compiled files. Okay, so in general, when you have to update an API, it's better to not include in the update these two files, because they could contain some custom configuration. Not in the case of most of the APIs, so it's not a problem. In this case, I can keep them here. I create a zip file, and I can upload to the server. Here in the test environment, I have only one. It's not a redundant installation. What should we do? Okay, we open Internet Information Services in the server. You should be able to find it typing IIS. It's not pinned, for example, to the taskbar. Then I go on the master data. I can go quickly with the right-click explore in the folder, and I paste here the zip. In the meanwhile, we can verify also from here that the API, I have to add the Swagger the URL, that the API that is running on the server does not have the receiving. Doesn't have anything about loaded receiving. So, following a bit the slide, this is a bit verbose, but simply you go in the server, backup the original API file in a zip, stop the pull, update the file, and start the pull again. So I can do a backup in the master data folder. Simple zip, obviously. Be sure that we are able to restart immediately if there are blocking programs for some reason. And then there is the file that I have created before on my computer. So I go to the application pool master data, and I can stop the pool, because if I try to update the files with the pool running, the files are already open and it will not obviously extract. I extract the content in this folder, overwriting everything. It's gone. In fact, by checking Task Manager, ordering by, you see that there is a process of IIS that has the name of its API. The master data is at the moment not existing because it has been stopped. It should be here. So I have updated. Now I can restart the pool. Why did I stop the pool? Well, actually, because if I stop only the website, the process continues to work. Since our APIs have background processes running, they will just be unavailable, but the process does not stop. So you have to stop the pool to block it completely. Okay, now I should have restarted. I can go here and refresh the page. I search for receiving. I had to shift refresh pressing shift to update to force the cache reload. But it's here now. So we have the new method also on the server. Obviously, I can try them. I will be unauthorized at the moment, but there is the login here if you want. What to do now? You can follow the slide. It's a verify that the APIs are still not visible in the web UI. So you can also do this by yourself if you want. But yeah, it's a bit longer because you need to add a page. So not, maybe it's not the case in this moment. But you will go through this later with Martino. So probably you will learn how to do it. I just show you in the web UI that this does not exist. So I am already logged in. I go to the creation of a new page. Also, I repeat this part about the creation of a new page will be shown by Martino later. I start adding a page. I give a name. Just to test. Now it's generating some JSON files, so it can take some seconds. Okay. I go on, I drag a table component, and from here we can try to find an API, the new API. So if I type load aid, you see that I have load aid, but I don't have load aid receiving. Well, if I put type in receiving, I don't have anything. So the API is not showing out. So what can we do at this point? We follow the instructions. So this is a process that has to be done also in a project if you need to add a JSON, you need to add an API to a web UI page or a web UI page. Sorry, I skipped the two forward in the slide. Okay, here it is. We have to connect to the container that is running the web UI. So I will do it on the server. Since with this procedure, we will update all the JSON files that are in this folder. If you see, the master data JSON file has been updated 4 minutes ago when I started the API. So every time an API starts, it recreates the file. Normally, it's always identical, but if there are new controllers, new methods, it has also the new stuff. So we can launch the PowerShell and execute this command sftp. the user is already administrator and the password is standard E80. Okay, it's also the password is in the slide. At this point, I should run this command to copy all the content of this folder in the server, all the JSON in this folder, to the folder on the server. It has executed the copy. I can exit from SFTP. In this slide here, we have something that allows us to check the status of processing of the web UI, because when the web UI receives the new JSONs, it will reprocess them. So I can enter here again with the administrator and standard E80. I'm in, and I can run this command. That is to read the logs. Docker logs my native API client. It's a standard command to see this log. You see that if I execute many times, the finishing should change, or at least it's still going on, because at the end it should have a green line. It will require around a couple of minutes. Okay, 73 seconds actually. This is the line that tells us that it has completed. It's also in the slide, this one. So now we can exit. At this point, the web UI should have updated the available APIs. So if I go here, for sure it will not show because we need to refresh the page. So a way can be do log out and log in again, but I can do a force of the refresh in this way. Also, this is documented here. If it's not shown, need to clear cache or force a load. Press F12, go in network, and select disable cache. So F12, network tab, disable cache, refresh. Will take a longer time because it is downloading all the application again, the dictionary, the API definitions. Now I click again here. I search for receiving, and we have the new API. Get load day receiving. So we are able to use it for reading. And probably the page could also work even now. Okay, it's working, showing us the 3 rows that we have, also the one that I added before during the exercise. It's not well formatted, it's missing the dictionaries, but this is not the focus of this exercise, that is actually complete. Okay, I just have to tell you one more thing. It's about, in the case, as I said before, in the case you have an installation when you create completely new project, like the master data, another new project, you will also have to do more operations in the deploy. For example, you will need to create a completely new application pool and the website in IIS, and also configure the Ocelot API gateway. This is not the scope of the exercise. It would be too much info. It's documented, and yeah, here we are. So if you have some questions, otherwise we can have a break till I don't know.
Yes.
If you have some questions.
Yes, Francesco. Should we re-enable the cache after the trick is done?
Yes. Okay. Basically, that is only effective when the window is open, but your browser will remember it. So it's a good idea to remember it the next time you open this debug console, as you have seen now. So it's a good idea to disable it, the disable cache, to re-enable the cache. Otherwise, every time you keep it open, if you don't notice it, every page you open, it will download a lot of stuff, many JSON files, and do a lot of web calls, web API calls to all the middleware, basically the dictionaries for translation and that stuff. Other questions? Okay, so I think we can get back here at 5:20. 5:20 we start. So maybe okay, we get back a bit